The first time I got raped, this is what happens to girls like you. At 18, I was out of school, got raped again by a friend of the family. I grew up seeing the atrocities of apartheid and as a child, and witnessed the violence, Makaspas and those yellow cars and them coming into our school, kicking us around even though we were kids. A very, very violent township. And I remember seeing a dead person. I think I was 7. It was a woman. She had been fighting with another woman and she stabbed her in the heart. That's kind of where I grew up. The closest thing I had to a conversation about sex was with my sister, I think around 14. It was at that time that I'd said to her that I thought I was gay. Yeah, that conversation went south. The first time I got raped, that was a very weird thing. I used to dance, so I'd come back from my dance class, and there was a few of us, and we were walking. I was a few minutes away from home. It was dark. It was starting to get dark, and then this blue van came and it stopped. I was with my friends and they stopped. I remember they took my friends, my guy friends, I think they took 2 of them and put them in the back of the car, and they put me in the front of the car, and there were guys in the car except for the driver, so we were quite squashed. And I got into the car with them and we were in the car, and I remember specifically I was wearing purple jeans, those big Pepe jeans. They're called Pepe jeans at the time. They're big jeans and a big shirt. And so I was like, okay, what's happening? I found myself in this car, and then the next thing, they're hitting me. I'm like, why are you hitting me? Someone said something about girls like you, and I'm like, what are you talking about, you know? And they said, no, they don't have girlfriends because of girls like you. I did not understand at the time what they were referring to. Anyway, they beat me up, and then we started driving. And we drove for a bit, and we found ourselves, it was now night, and then they made me take off my clothes and they raped me there. There was 4 of them. They took turns. I guess they decided it wasn't enough, and they hit me. I mean, you know, you are thinking, I have no idea what is expected of me. Somebody's saying, open your legs. Somebody's doing all kinds of things, and you're like, I have no idea. I have absolutely no idea what's happening to me right now. They're hitting me. You know, people are just taking turns. At some point, I'm thinking, okay, maybe it will come to an end, and they just let me go. And they decided, no, actually, that's not over. We drove to someone's house. I think the parents were there, and they decided, no, this is not going to work. They took me to Morris Isaacson. Obviously, they took turns raping me through the night. I just remember seeing the chalkboard and standing behind the chalkboard on top of the desk. It was just like, it was everywhere. And then at the end of it, there was this guy who just seemed to be the hero. Well, I guess he was ultimately the hero, because I don't know what they would have done to me. And he's like, okay, I'm gonna make you run away. And then he takes me to another classroom, and he rapes me by himself. He asks me who I was, and then I tell him who my father was. And he got up and he looked at me, and he got up and he says, I'm sorry, I'm so sorry, I'm really, really sorry, let me take you home. And then he walked me, so he walked me home, and home would not be home la bengihlala khona, but home would have been where my father was living in White City, so to the home that my dad called home. And he was killed by the system. My aunt was there, and I woke her up, and I then told her what had happened. She called my mom, who came, and I guess mom didn't understand. I guess, I don't know whether it was shock, but she held ideas about certain things, because how she reacted to it and said, you know, this is what happens to girls like you. Also left like a thing that says, I don't know what you mean, you know. So from, it's because of girls like you to girls like you. At the time, none of it made sense to me. I didn't understand what the inference was at the time. So yeah, that would be my first incident. Obviously, mom took me to clinics, doctors and stuff, and I was fine, except I think I had picked up a sexually transmitted infection, which would raise its ugly head, and God forbid I went to the clinic. And I remember just being called all kinds of names by these nurses, calling me forward, we are papa and whatever. And nobody asked, Guti, how did you get this? Of course, you just have to take it and roll with the punches. The second time I got raped was with a guy that I was dating, because at this time I'm trying to be straight, I'm praying, I'm trying to follow the protocol, right? Just to be as normal as possible so that I'm not drawing attention to myself. I'm trying to, as the Bible says, or what my pastor used to say whenever they used to pray for me, live to my purpose as a woman. I was trying. So I was dating, and this guy had left a pager. We didn't have cell phones then. He had left a pager at my house, and I had left it at a friend's house. And we broke up. And then a few months later, he comes back, he's looking for his pager. And I'm like, it's at my friend's house. He says, fine, let's go collect it. I'm not thinking anything. I get into the car with him and we're going to collect the pager, save for the fact that we didn't go to collect his pager. He took me to his family home in Zerbekom where he raped me. And he says, Ngiyamkwaleta. I don't owe you anything, but it was too late. It was done. He drove me back. The second time, I didn't say anything at home. I just kept quiet and I just continued with my life. Obviously, this is when life just got the better of me and I was suicidal and I was just struggling with life. 16, I dropped out of school. I just couldn't do it anymore. That chalkboard situation, that school situation was just not happening for me anymore. So I left school, and at 18, I was out of school, got raped again by a friend of the family. So my best friend's brother and my brother's best friend, and my mom's friend, like it was just down the road, like we were like family, and he had invited me to his party and I'd gone to the party, and when everybody else was leaving, he was like, Ngizokuhambisa, and I'm thinking, Upuchaf, there's no way, it's okay, Upuchaf uzongihambisa. But later on I started realizing that Upuchaf was not going to take me, and he raped me and offered my family 10,000 rand. My mom didn't take it. Obviously, we went to court. I think he was sentenced to 7 years. And that was the end of the story. But with Chaff, I think it was when it started to hit home, because Chaff says to me, I'm trying to remind you what a black woman is and how a black woman is, what it is to be a black woman. I didn't understand even then what that meant. It was only much later, when I had come out as a lesbian and I was working as an activist, that I started noticing that there was a pattern, that women were getting raped, and it was almost a punishment, a correction, in terms of, we don't like who you are, we don't like how you are doing things, and therefore we are going to put you in line. And that's how we coined the term corrective rape, because it occurred to us that it was bigger than just power. This was about the infantilization of women, and women not having agency, and women constantly having to be told who they are and how they're supposed to behave, how they're supposed to carry themselves. It's almost like a prescript of how you can be in life, and if you don't follow those, you must be corrected, either as a child and you must be beat, and as a woman you must be raped, because there is this narrative that says this is how you fix women in the bedroom, right? And we've normalized it. I heard it on TV the other day. I think it was in The River, and Utuso was saying, you don't beat a woman, you deal with her in the bedroom. And I'm like, that is rape. We have so normalized this culture of sexually abusing women, and using it as a form of punishment. I was being punished for being gay and maybe a little too vocal, too boisterous. I'm not sure, but yeah, that's how we came to it. So I grew up at a very interesting time where rape and beating up women was normal. The number of times that I ran away from near rape situations as a child, I can't count them. It's so much. As a teenager, I can't tell you the number of times I found myself almost getting raped. It was so normal that women were getting raped. It is so normal in black townships that we know. The stats are talking about 1 in 9, but the truth of the matter is that almost all black women in townships will have a violent encounter of some sort, and if they don't get raped, they get beaten. So there's a sense of violence directed at black women, which is so normalized. We don't understand issues of consent in our country. In the township where I grew up, my family was blamed for taking this thing to court, and it's like, Mara wa upatela. And also Uchaf was like, the local gangster, and girls wanted him, and so they couldn't understand why I could possibly not have been interested in him. And so I was victimized by women, in particular women in our streets. My family was victimized by women in our streets because I had dared to speak up. So there's a normalization of the sexual abuse of women. I'm not sure if it's gotten better. I doubt it, but that's the kind of era that I think I grew up in. So I think after Chuff's case, I was with some guy and we were engaged, and I had left school. I'm like, oh my God, I'm gonna get married. Oh my God, what am I gonna do with children? When am I gonna feed them? So clearly I have to go back to school. I'm like, oh babe, sorry, I have to go to school. Let me go finish my matric. I'll see you after. And I left Johannesburg and I went to KZN for a fresh start. Needless to say, I got to KZN and I got off a bus, and the first person I met was a dyke. And so my first best friend in Durban happened to be a lesbian girl, and the first person that I made friends with at school, at my new school, happened to be a lesbian. It was very interesting. And I was like, okay. It's like, okay, let's see. But I didn't think much of it until I fell in love with another girl who happened to be my teacher, God forbid. Then it was school. I finished matric and literally started working in Durban. I didn't come back to Johannesburg until I was, I think, 22. I started working in the film industry. Then, I don't know, fate again. I found myself working at Edcon. That's how my career started, and it was very interesting. It was bad. And then lesbians were getting raped and gay men were getting beaten up and killed. And we knew that we needed to have an intervention. And so we started the Rose of Thorns. And this program really did wonders in this country. And I know we don't talk about it a lot, but this program literally took us into communities where we would then talk to people about the prejudices they had and why they held those kind of prejudices. Police, nurses, the social services, and we got to speak to people and made them ambassadors for the LGBTIAQ community. And I'm not saying members of the LGBTIAQ community, must hide themselves. I'm saying there needs to be a negotiation, like make people understand, talk to people. There needs to be a dialogue. Also, we can't go around forcing ourselves down people's throats. Like right now, I'm a lesbian. I live my life. I live with my partner. I live a normal life. I get up, I come to work, I go home. I really don't care that you don't like me. I really don't care that you don't approve of my sexuality or my choice in partner. This is my life. Like, I don't come out. So somebody says, oh, my boyfriend and I went to town and we did this. I'm like, oh, baby and I went this, or my girlfriend and I went to do this. I'm not sitting here waiting to hide myself or trying to fit myself into your views. This is my life and I'm just living it as best as I can. The reason for me going into cosmetics was that I looked at the amount of unemployment in the country and I looked at what the government was doing, and I found that there was so much unemployment, and yet we have what I call green gold, our biodiversity. We have an amazing biodiversity in this country. And in 2013, I came across a unique protein that mimics keratin, and keratin is the thing that's in your hair. And we then partnered with the CSIR and we developed technology around this unique ingredient that we then discovered had never been used in cosmetics before. And I developed the ethnic hydration technology, which is an award-winning technology for African hair care. We have people who are gathering these raw materials. Then we go and buy them at an equitable price. And then we bring them in, we process them, and then we make these amazing products from them. So there's an entire value chain of using African indigenous ingredients to the benefit of all of our people, which is possible. And so this is what we do here. So I think when I started earlier, I spoke about fate and how things kind of lead to each other. And obviously when things like that happen, it makes life very difficult, and you must remember why you are doing what you're doing. And as I was trying to sort of pick myself up and say, no, it's fine, we've got a great product, people love our product, and this has been tested, it's dermatology tested, people love it, clients love it. Let's see if we can expand ourselves. We get an invitation from Dis-Chem. Dis-Chem says, oh, come, we'd like to see your product. We submit everything. Is it tested? Yes. Labeling, everything. Like literally, they went through the checklist. We're told, no, it's fine. At the time when they were ready for listing, somebody somewhere inside Dis-Chem decided, no, we are not listing you. I'm like, no, that can't be real. Like, you've got to be kidding me. And obviously they didn't list us. And I asked the woman why, and she's like, we've got too many Black products on the shelves. So with Black consciousness is really about the mind, about finding yourself, self-empowering, being self-reliant, starting your own businesses. I could resonate with that. I can truly resonate with the politics of Black people. I can truly resonate with and the fact that what our people were promised is yet to be actualized, and that someone out there needs to tell our people the truth, that where we find ourselves today as a country is a case of engineering. Where we are is engineered, and our people need to know that. We are not here by mistake. It was always the plan. I speak about how Black entrepreneurs cannot access the retail sector. You go into Dis-Chem today, please go and look at every single one of the products on their shelves. Majority of them are imported. Where does that make space for local entrepreneurs to be able to enter the market so that we can create what we call the alternative economy, because they are not opening up this economy to enable Black people to enter it? What is the role of Pick n Pay in ensuring that Black entrepreneurs can enter the space? Where is the Black Baker's Biscuit? Where is the Black Revlon? Where's the Black, what is this company, Unilever? Why have we failed in the last 30 years to develop an alternate economy where Black people can create brands, what we call legacy brands that were created through apartheid? Where are those legacy brands owned by Black people today? And we need to be clear about that. So am I sad about my life? No, not really. My life has led me to this moment where I can see these things, and I can have platforms like this one to be able to tell the truth and to speak truth to power and let the people know the truth. So we are born for each other. You know, this thing, people use it so loosely, Ubuntu, I am because you are. But the truth of the matter is that I was born for this very purpose. And everything that has happened in my life has led to this moment, had that happened. So sometimes we are born for certain things, and some of us are born activists. I'm an entrepreneur and innovator, but at heart, and I think I look at my journey, I look at my father's journey, I look at how we got kicked by Boers as children. All of it was for this moment, because this moment needs people who can rise up and understand how systems oppress people and be able to warn our people so that our people are awake from their slumber and realize that no Moses is coming to save them. I'm deputy president of Azapo, but I am no Moses. I cannot save Black people. Black people must save themselves, and they must rise for themselves and save themselves.